You've heard of study abroad programs, a semester in London, a year in Tokyo, a chance to immerse yourself in a new culture, learn a new language. It's a rite of passage for some. But what if the destination wasn't on any map? What if the culture wasn't human? And what if the trip was one way, for 12 people to a planet 37 light-years from home? This is the story of the most audacious, most secretive, and most terrifying exchange program in human history. A story that, if true, rewrites everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. This is the story of Project Serpo. It all begins, as these stories so often do, in the deserts of New Mexico. 1947, Roswell. The official story is a weather balloon. But according to a series of explosive leaks from a supposed government insider, it wasn't one crash. It was two. And amidst the twisted, unearthly metal, we didn't just find wreckage. We found survivors. One of them, critically injured, was taken to a secure facility at Los Alamos. The military gave it a name, EBE-1, the first extraterrestrial biological entity. For the next few years, EBE-1 was our guest, our prisoner, our teacher. It was a small, gray being with a large head and dark, deep eyes. It couldn't speak our language, but it was brilliant. Using a strange device it salvaged from the crash, it began to communicate. It showed our top scientists images of its world. A desert planet, scorched by the heat of two suns. A planet in the Zeta Reticuli star system. A planet called Serpo. Then, in 1952, EBE-1 died. But before it did, it had helped us figure out how to use its communication device. We sent a message into the void, a desperate shot in the dark aimed at a star system we could barely see. And for years, nothing. Silence. The project went cold, until one day they answered. In 1964, a massive alien craft entered Earth's orbit. It didn't attack. It just waited. Using the technology we'd learned from EBE-1, we made contact. It was its people, the Ebens. They had come for their fallen comrades. They wanted to retrieve their dead. And that's when someone in a smoke-filled room at the Pentagon had an idea, an exchange. The plan was codenamed Project Crystal Night. The Ebens would take 10 of our people back to their world for 10 years. In exchange, they would leave one of their own with us, to teach us their technology. But the plan changed. The Ebens agreed to the exchange, but they wanted 12. 12 of our best and brightest. A secret recruitment process began. They needed soldiers, but not just any soldiers. They needed pilots, doctors, linguists, scientists, people with nerves of steel who could handle being completely and utterly alone. Trillions of miles from everything they'd ever known. They found them. 10 men and 2 women. Each one a specialist. Each one told they were going on the most important mission in human history. They were also told they might never come back. Every single one of them volunteered. In April 1965, at a remote test site in Nevada, the team boarded the Eben starship. They carried with them 90,000 pounds of supplies, enough food, equipment, and entertainment to last a decade. Then, the hatch closed, and they were gone. The journey to Serpo took 10 months. The team reported a constant feeling of dizziness and disorientation. Time seemed to warp and bend. They had no sense of day or night. They were adrift in the void. Their only companions the silent gray aliens who glided through the ship like ghosts. When they finally arrived, they stepped out onto a world that was both alien and strangely familiar. The heat was oppressive, the radiation levels far higher than on Earth, and in the sky not one but 2 suns burned, casting strange double shadows. The planet was a desert, but it was teeming with life. Strange plants and even stranger animals, some resembling Earth's antelopes, others looking like hulking, armored beasts. The Ebens themselves were a peaceful, ancient civilization. They had no central government, only a council of elders. There was no crime, no violence. They lived in small communities, their lives dictated by the movement of their two suns. For 10 years, the American team lived among them. They were not guests, they were colleagues. They explored the planet, studied the alien flora and fauna, and learned the history of a civilization millions of years old. But it wasn't a paradise. The intense radiation took its toll. The team had to wear protection at all times. The psychological strain was immense. They were the only 12 humans in an entire galaxy. They lost their team commander to a pulmonary embolism. His body was placed in a cold storage unit for the long trip home. They were truly on their own. In 1975, the 10-year mission was up. The Eben ship returned to Earth's orbit, ready to bring them home. But the Ebens gave the team a choice. They could return to Earth, or they could stay on Serpo. Two of them, one man and one woman, chose to stay. They had found a new life, a new home, 37 light-years away. The official report says they died on Serpo, but the whistleblower claims they simply stayed. The other 8 returned. One had died on the journey back, their body joining the commander's in cold storage. The 7 survivors were immediately taken to a secure facility, where they were quarantined and debriefed for an entire year. They brought back thousands of photos, hours of film, and a 3,000-page document detailing everything they had learned. It was called the Final Report. And then it was all locked away, buried under a level of security so high that most presidents would never even know it existed. The 7 survivors were given new identities and lived out the rest of their lives in obscurity. The story was over until November 2005. That's when a series of emails began to arrive in the inbox of a UFO discussion group. They were from a man who called himself Anonymous. He claimed to be a retired employee of the Defense Intelligence Agency. And over the next few months, he slowly, methodically, leaked the entire story of Project Serpo. The details were stunning. The names of the team members, the specifics of their training, the exact coordinates of their landing on Serpo. So what are we to make of this? Is Project Serpo the single greatest secret ever kept? The proof that we are not alone and that we have already walked on another world? Or is it one of the most elaborate, detailed, and compelling hoaxes ever created? If it's a hoax, it's a masterpiece. But if it's true, it means that for the last 40 years, the government has been sitting on a 3,000-page report that changes the very definition of humanity. It means that 2 Americans chose to leave Earth behind forever. And it means that right now, their children, or their children's children, might be looking up at a sky with 2 suns, wondering about the distant blue planet their ancestors once called home.